The Switch 2 mystery is over. It's a Switch 2. T-O-O. Since at least 2019, there have been rumors that Nintendo was planning a beefier Switch. And there were rumors that the OLED model, which I loved back in 2021 when it came out, was supposed to include more than just that awesome screen. And I say all this to kind of paint the picture that we've been looking forward to this for years. And now that it's out, well, it's a beefier Switch. When I watched the April Nintendo Direct, I was really surprised at just how gamery this thing was.
The screen supports up to 120 frames per second. The LCD screen is more vivid and supports HDR. Connect to your TV and enable up to 4K resolution.
They even mistakenly said that it could do variable refresh rate to TVs. Those are nerd specs. Nintendo doesn't do nerd specs. But with the Switch 2, Nintendo seems to know that it exists along with the likes of the Steam Deck and the ROG Ally and all these other handheld PCs that, let's face it, either already have or very soon will lap this thing in terms of raw horsepower. Now, it feels great to hold, and it makes the Switch 1 OLED that I had feel like a toy, to say nothing of the launch Switch. The analog sticks here are bigger and smoother. The screen is ginormous. I can't imagine going back to that launch Switch, that's for sure. But that OLED screen is still king, and if you're upgrading from one like I did, you'll probably be too busy noticing how big the new system is to miss the OLED-ness of it, but if you dare to compare, it's really no contest. Now the buttons on the new one are bigger and feel more premium, and the plus and minus buttons on my OLED got a little crunchy over time. I don't think that's going to happen this time. But hook it up to a TV, it's a lot harder to notice that you're playing something new. The operating system's much better and snappier, but you get a kind of meh HDR experience, and you just don't get blown away. Now, that's hardly a Nintendo problem. Even the PS5 and Xbox Series X probably didn't wow you when they first came out the way like a PS2 did. We're just past that point in video games and tech where you're going to feel like you get this big generational leap just out of taking something out of the box. But in Switch 2 edition games, like Zelda Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild, you can see how the Switch 2 can cruise along at 60 frames per second in areas that the original Switch 1 wanted to cry. More on these games in a second. The hardware's solid, but you're not going to get blown away. It's a beefier Switch. I also got a couple of accessories. I skipped the webcam, but I did get a Pro Controller, and it's surprisingly nice. It feels more premium than the first Switch Pro Controller did, but honestly, I got it for one feature. Nintendo won't let you wake the Switch 2 up from sleep with anything other than current generation controllers. So it's either give them $85 for a Pro Controller or get off my butt every time I wanted to start the console in TV mode or play with the Joy-Con, and well, I'm $85 poorer. At launch, this thing's a Mario Kart World machine with a few Zelda upgrades and what I'll call third-party curiosities thrown in. Mario Kart World is fun. I really like the new knockout mode. I came in second place online once. Yeah, I'm bragging about second. It's tough out there. Now, I've got my warts with the new Mario Kart. Why is the selection screen organized by character and then by outfit? Why can't you just let me pick the character and then pick the outfit like on a sub-menu or something? And do you really expect me to just drive around? There's not that much to do here. You find some P-switches, you do the thing, and you're back off into the wilderness. Really, the only reason I want to do any of this is to unlock mirror mode. I won't spoil exactly how you do that, but there's a certain amount of things you need to do in free roam on that checklist. The Switch 1 Zelda games, Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, look and run great with their new Switch 2 edition upgrades. You even get an extra save file so you can start all over without erasing your old ones if you want. I have the Nintendo Switch Online Plus expansion pack, so I got these upgrades for free, which is about right, given that I've already put like 100 hours into these games, and I don't know that starting over on them is in my to-do list. There's also the GameCube games that come with that tier of the online service, and this is the ultimate Nintendo gonna Nintendo of it all. There were only 3 games when this thing launched. Now granted, they're 3 really good ones. I love Legend of Zelda Wind Waker, Soul Calibur 2 is a classic, and F-Zero is a drug. I didn't play much of this growing up back in 2001 or whenever it came out, like I did those other games, so it's interesting to play it now, and they just announced Mario Strikers from the GameCube will be joining early in July, but Nintendo, 3 games at launch? Where's Mario Sunshine, or Smash Melee, Mario Kart Double Dash, Metroid Prime 2, heck, Luigi's Mansion? There's so many games that aren't here, or for that matter, why won't you let me play, or even pay you again to play, the Wind Waker HD re-release from the Wii U? I will give you more money. Now, while I'm talking about the GameCube, I should admit, I'm a sucker and I bought the controller. It was $65 on Nintendo's website, and technically works with any game on the Switch too, but it doesn't have a left bumper button, just like the original GameCube controller didn't. It only had the one on the right side, but it's no big deal. Nintendo lets you remap controllers right from the home menu, so I'll just... So yeah, some games, like Mario Sunshine from the delisted 3D All-Stars game, work well out of the box with it. But the Metroid Prime remaster that came out for Switch needs that button that barely exists for lock-on targeting, and there's nothing you can do about it. Sure, you've got that little button that's there to bring up the menus in the GameCube games, but there's also some interesting third-party games on here, like Cyberpunk 2077. It's kind of neat that something that pushed the PS5 and barely ran on PS4 is here, but this really is just a neat port. It runs okay, but if you have a PS5 or Series X or decent PC, this is really only a game to check out if you desperately want to play it on the go. Then there's Fast Fusion. It's a slick racing game that has some awesome environments to race in. There's not a ton to do here. There's only 12 tracks, but it's also $15. I definitely recommend this game because the pricing is just so shockingly reasonable and they're adding more stuff to it. So, wrapping up, I think my favorite thing about Switch 2 is that it feels so much better in portable mode. It's just more premium. The operating system is slick, and you can feel a bump on older games like Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. Games that struggled to run on the original Switch have a better chance of running with fewer problems on the new one. It's a better Switch. We've been asking for that for a while, and now we've got it. But that's all it is. And as a reviewer, you're supposed to keep your focus on what the thing is and whether it does that well and not dwell on what it isn't. But it isn't anything fundamentally new. The launch lineup right now is just okay. It's Mario Kart World and some ports that you've probably played before on other platforms that run them better. The whole ecosystem is expensive. From the $450 console, to the $80 Mario Kart, to the $85 Pro Controller, to those special SD cards you have to buy that are more expensive than you think SD cards are, well, you've shelled out a lot of money to play a new Mario Kart. I give the Switch 2, right now, 7 screaming toad faces out of 10. Thanks for watching my first YouTube video. Please consider liking and subscribing if you enjoyed it. But if you've got a Switch 1 and are on the fence, or if you're thinking about getting into the Nintendo sphere and you want to know if you should jump straight to Switch 2 or maybe go to the cheaper Switch 1, check out this video of the 5 biggest upgrades and 2 downgrades that you get by going with Switch 2. So what do you think? You have a Switch 2? What's your favorite thing about it? What do you think I missed? I'll see you in the comment section.